how old you are or when you're going to retire or something like this, this is a benefit that we all pay for, we all pay into every year, and it's something that we expect. And so we'll go through it. We'll talk about what's happening now and what some of the changes are, and how frightening Social Security can be for even folks like us that are approaching retirement, and what we're looking for in a possible reduction of benefits if we run out of money. But let me tell you a little bit about myself. I started in this business nearly 36 years ago. I tell people, yeah, I've been married for 36 years, I've been an adult for 36 years, and I've done this for 36 years. So this is all I've ever done, and I really love being here. I love being in this business. I started off trading commodities for E.F. Hutton. You guys remember E.F. Hutton? Yeah, that's how I started my career, and migrated over to the estate planning and investment planning quite some time ago. Let me give you a little bit of background about Prudential. You know, Prudential started in 1875, offering insurance plans. That's how we built our company, offering insurance plans. And started with one guy up in New Jersey who was actually selling life insurance policies out of his garage. And you could buy an insurance plan for about 3 cents a week. That was about the average cost of an insurance plan back in 1875. So there's a lot of difference. But through the years, Prudential has evolved into something much more than what you probably would think that we are. Today, we actually take a very holistic approach to helping clients manage money. We're actually the 4th largest investment firm in the world. We manage close to $2 trillion of clients' money when you add in our assets under management, our pensions, and our assets under the life insurance company as well. So, but I'd say in the last 50 or 60 years, we've evolved into a very big company. You know, for a while we were almost too big. We were doing group health insurance. We had property and casualty. You folks probably remember Beige Securities, and Pru took over Beige, and it was Pru Beige, and then we just became Prudential Securities, and now we're just Prudential. And so we've grown a lot, we've done a lot, we've shut off some of the businesses that we believe weren't good for us moving forward, and what we've really done is focused and drilled down on one thing: helping clients understand what's important to them about their money. That's what we do. And so through that, we take this very holistic approach to helping clients look at not only how to get to retirement, but how to live through retirement. And that's a unique difference. Look, I've got a smartphone right here, and I can go to my smartphone and I can pull up software through bankrate.com or CNN.com or financialcalculators.com, and I can figure out what I need to have to retire. That's easy. Most of us can have some sense of awareness about how to do that now. So what is it that we do? What we want to do is we want to help clients understand how to manage financial risk. That's a lot of what we do, is helping you understand what is financial risk and how to manage that financial risk. And not only do we want to help you manage financial risk to retirement, but we want to show you how to live through retirement. And just a couple of ideas that we're not going to talk about today, but some statistics that I think are important for you to know. That if you're a woman and you live past the age of 65, for every day that you live past the age of 65, the likelihood of you living to the age of 96 now becomes greater and greater. So if you get past 65, you're probably in all likelihood going to make it to 96. And that's uniquely different than it was 10 or 15 years ago. The mortality tables keep moving up. If you're a man, guys, we're still young and dumb. You know, we're only going to live to 94 because we don't take care of ourselves like women do. Okay, but we're going to live to 94 if we get past 65. And about 20 years ago, when this industry really began to evolve and be something different than it is today, the average age was only 90. And financial planners were planning to 90. So a concern that clients have today is, am I going to have enough money to retire? Where is it going to come from? And that's where this comes in and plays an important role in the decisions that you're going to make about your not only your Social Security, but all of your retirement planning. How it's all going to add up, how it's all going to be managed. Let me give you one more statistic. This is even more frightening. If a couple today, a man and a woman, retire at 65, they're projected to spend over the rest of their lives $225,000 of their own money in health care. Now, where's that money going to come from? We're paying more taxes. 6 years ago, the average consumer at all taxes combined was paying about 19% in taxes. Sales tax, income tax, property tax is about 19.1% 6 years ago. You know what it is today? It's almost 26%. So we're paying more taxes, we're living longer, and our healthcare costs are going up. So where's all this money going to come from? And so that's how Prudential differentiates ourselves. We can get you to retirement. Look, the bank calculator is easy. $300 a month or $500 a month for 12 months at 5% interest over the next 30 years gives me a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And I went to high school. I can work backwards. This is pretty cool, right? You tell me how much money you want to have at the end of the rainbow, and I can tell you how much money you got to put in. It's not hard to figure that kind of stuff out. It's trying to get not only to retirement, manage that financial risk, and live through retirement. That's what we do. So I want to take you through a presentation today that focuses on that the importance of that, Social Security, and how that plays an effect. Now, that MFS, that's my company title. I'm a manager of financial services. That's what I do. My background in education is at University of Houston, and I'm a chartered life underwriter through the American College. The American College now partners with universities all over the United States, including the University of Houston, and it's now part of their undergraduate programs for financial services management. But that's what I do, and that's my background. Some of you may recognize this when I tell you, but I hosted a radio show here in Houston for about 10 years. It was called Financially Speaking. It's when nobody else was doing it. It was kind of a unique thing. It was on KPRC radio. I came on right before Astros baseball. I did that for about 10 years. Okay, so let's take a look at your Social Security benefits. Okay, we got to get this thing working here. Oh. It's backwards. Okay, here we go. Important information to consider, yada, yada, yada. Take a moment to read that. It just says just some general provisions about the Social Security Act and about Prudential Annuities division of our company. So we don't want to practice law. We don't want to practice accounting. We are going to tell you that now. We're also going to tell you that in the financial planning process. If you decide, hey, I need you to take a look at something, we're going to tell you that as well. We don't want to give you legal or accounting advice. Okay, so we're going to talk about individual benefits. We're going to talk about spousal benefits, and then we're going to focus on a couple of strategies that you may want to employ as you look at planning for Social Security benefits. So how do you become eligible for Social Security? A lot of people aren't really familiar with this. Matter of fact, the three of us were having a discussion about this very issue just a few moments ago before you folks walked in. You have to actually work 40 quarters under Social Security, or pay into Social Security for 40 quarters. That's 10 years. Okay, and you have to pay in through normal wages.
When you say normal wages, I presume independent contractor income.
Yeah, that counts.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So normal would be, what's not normal? Passive income. Okay. Passive income is portfolio income and things like that where you're not paying employment tax on that. And the benefits are calculated based on an average of the 35 highest years. Okay, so you have to pay in for 10 years just to be eligible. And then they're going to look at the 35 highest years. And here's the deal. If you worked and then you skipped work and maybe you were head of the household, or you just didn't work and then went back to work later in life, you got some zeros that are going to be thrown in there. If those zeros fall into your highest 35 years, that's going to drive your average down. Okay, and so you need to know that. You need to know that, because what they're going to use is the highest 35 years to calculate what your benefits were.
So if it's a zero, how does it fall into the highest?
Well, if you've only worked 35 years.
Oh, only 30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you've only worked for 35 years, it gets thrown into that. That's a great question.
You mean if you only worked for 34 years, then a zero would be added in?
Yeah, 35 or less. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So if you work 10 years, you get 25 zeros.
that's right. That's right. If you
Your
only work
average is
10
zero,
years,
though.
your average is going to be extra. Yeah, that's a great observation. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So when are you eligible for retirement? Well, it depends on when you were born. Okay, they made some changes to Social Security a few years ago, quite a few years ago now that I think about it. But they changed the full retirement age. And we're going to talk in just a few moments about retiring early and possibly deferring your Social Security and taking it later, and what that means to you. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But most of you in this room look like you were born after 1960, so right? Okay. So let's look, see where you fall in the scale, and you're eligible for full retirement at that age. So if you were born in 1957, it would be 66 years and 6 months. I have a brother that was born in 59, 66 years and 10 months. Okay, so can you take your benefits early? And the answer is yes. And let's just look at full retirement age at 66 first. If you want to retire early, what's the soonest you could take benefits? The soonest you could take benefits is at age 62. You're going to get a 25% reduction in benefit by retiring early. And for every year that you approach full retirement age, you can see that reduction gets dropped, or actually improves. So that by the time you're 66 years old, you have full benefits. At age 67, the cliff is a little steeper. Okay, so for folks that are born in 1960 or after, that cliff is a little steeper. At age 62, they're going to take a 30% reduction in benefits, and they're eligible for benefits, at full benefits at the age of 67.
So, Ron, a question for you. If you take it at 62 at the 30% reduction, do you get full benefits when you turn 67, or are they reduced 30% the rest of your life?
Wow, that's a great question, Frank, and I get that a lot. People think, well, I can take the early benefit now, and then when I reach my full retirement age, I get the full amount, and the answer is no. Once you elect that early retirement, that's what they're going to pay you, and they're going to pay you that for the rest of your life, okay? And I'm going to show you where the break-even is on that for each of these ideas. I'll show you where the break-even is. Great question. Any other questions about that slide? Yes?
Oh, it's not exactly about the slide, but will you also show us the break even if we take them after 67?
Yeah, I've got a graph that throws them all together. Yeah, that's coming up. And if you feel like you want another donut, you're not going to interrupt me. You're not going to hurt my feelings. You're only going to hurt the chef's feelings that made those donuts this morning. So
He's garden kolaches, though.
Only hit two.
the thing about donuts is the worse they are for you, the better they taste. Isn't that true? And I just love Shipley's donuts.
It's not a great thing to eat in a class like this, though.
Yeah.
Talk about actuarial ages.
That's great insight. Okay, so no more questions, we'll move to the next slide. So taking your benefits and working. Some folks say, well, you know, I'm gonna take Social Security and I still want money. I still wanna be able to go out and work. And as realtors, that's a great thing to do. Nobody tells you, oh, you're leaving this firm by our choice, not yours, right? There's no mandatory retirement benefits with you folks. You guys can work as long as you want, right? Yeah. Okay, so if you do that, what does that mean to you if you take Social Security? Okay, so if you take Social Security at your full retirement age, there's no penalty for that. Okay, if you have to wait until you get to that mark. So if you're 66 years and 6 months, you have to wait for the entire 6 months, and in the 7th month elect that option. If you take retirement, if you take your benefits in the year that you're retiring, you're going to be subject to a penalty. And that penalty is you're going to give up $1 in benefits for every $3 that you earn. Okay? For every $3 that you earn. And that's any amount over $41,000. But it's really steep if you retire early and you want to work and take Social Security. You give up $1 benefits for every $2 earned over $15,000. Yeah, Frank.
Okay, just to personalize this, my number is 67. So if I start taking benefits when I'm 68 and I'm still working, there's going to be no offset, no penalties, regardless of how much money I earn, because I waited to take benefits until I'm 68.
That's
Is that
correct. That's correct. Okay. Yeah, let me get the coffee off of me. Sorry about that, folks. Okay. That's correct. Everybody clear on what he asked? Okay, good. What Frank got? Good. Okay. So let's take a look at an example. John, who's 62, is eligible for, in this example, a $12,000 annual benefit. If John decides to work and he's earning $25,000 per year, he's $9,280 over the threshold. So in this example, he's going to give up $4,640, and he's only going to receive $7,360. Look, that's not necessarily a bad choice. You just need to be aware of it. If you need more income, and $12,000 a year isn't going to do it for you, but you wanted to supplement your income and control your lifestyle, there's nothing wrong with that. You just have to know what the rules are. You know, when I got into this business 35 years ago, my boss used to tell me, as he mentored and coached me, he'd say, you give me the rules, I'll tell you how to play the game. Okay? And that's what we want to know, right? We want to know what the rules are so that we can figure out how we want to live. Okay, so what are the benefits of waiting? All right, this goes back to a question that we had a few minutes ago. For every year that you wait, you get an 8% increase up to the age of 70. Once you're 70 years old, they don't keep increasing the benefit. So if your retirement age, full retirement age is 67, right, you're going to get 4 years, it's going to run you up by 32%. A 32% increase. Then I'll hold that slide so that you can write that down. Excuse me, 66. If you're 67, it's a 24% increase. Any questions on that?
Or is this information in this packet?
No, yes.
Some of it is. That should be in there.
Okay.
Yeah. But feel free to write down whatever you want. We can take as much time as you need. I just need to leave in 10 minutes. No, I'm kidding. Okay, we're okay on this? I move to the next slide. Everybody got what they want off that? Okay. All right, so here's the graph. Here's where we're looking at now in terms of what's the benefit of waiting. Okay, so the blue line represents a claim at the age of 62, right? So assuming that I've got a $2,000 a year benefit, at full retirement, I'm going to take a reduction in benefits in this example down to $1,500. And to my age of 95, that's going to give me $1 million in payments. $1,039,000 in payments. If I am going to take full retirement at 66, just by waiting 4 years, I get $1,285,000. But if I wait till I'm 70, I get $1,531,000. I get $500,000 more just by waiting to the age of 70. So now it goes back to that question: do you want to work and have some supplement of income, travel more, and be kind of semi-retired, or are you going to work, and continue to allow that Social Security value to increase? Okay, excuse me. And everything that I want to show you does not include COLA, and that's the cost of living adjustment. None of these slides are going to factor that in. I'm just raw net numbers. Okay, yes, sir.
The Social Security benefits you're showing is before taxes, correct?
Yeah.
So we need to remember that.
Well, we're going to get into that in just a few
Okay.
minutes. Yeah, we're going to get into the taxation of all of your income, including Social Security, in just a minute. When you have to pay tax on it and when you don't. Okay, we're going to get into that. That's a great point. Yeah, because that's important as you're looking at, okay, what's this worth to me now, and what's it worth to me in taxation? Yes, ma'am.
And if we're also considering our specific individual health,
Yeah.
you look around age 80, it's like the break even of, should have started taking it earlier, if you're gonna die when you're 80.
Yeah, and see that's that.
I mean, the big unknown.
You've stayed up all night studying for this. I can see that. That's the second piece of insight that you've given us. This is awesome.
Sorry.
Because no, think about it, and that's a great point. Think about that, because if you know that your family has a lot of longevity, a long lifespan, then a big Social Security payment is really important to you, and you probably want to defer that. If everybody's dropping like flies at 67, 68, 69, and I'm like, maybe I ought to take my benefit now, So I don't want to try and coach you on that piece of it so much as try to help you understand what it means to you to wait now versus waiting later. But yeah, great insight. Yeah, here.
The government would like you to wait. The government would like you to wait.
Yes,
Yes.
and then drop off.
Take the big one, die early. Yep. Yep.
Sad but true.
Okay, then if you wait, we talked about it. Okay, so where's your break-even point? Okay, so let's take a look at that. At age 66 versus 62, the break-even is at age 76. That's where you break even. Now, the break-even's important, but you also need to be focused on what your expected lifestyle is going to be. And that's where we come in, not just us, any advisor. Let me just be clear about that. Any advisor, at a good what we call a tier 1 firm, they'll be very reputable, and they're going to say, okay, what's your standard of living? How much income do you want to have in today's dollars? When do you retire? What's your retirement future going to look like? And my wife and I got into a discussion about this last night. Our focus is, we're getting ready to build a second home up on the lake, and that is going to turn into rental income for us. We're going to pay cash to have it built. And that's going to be greater. That's going to be a greater option. Look, I'm talking to real estate agents. They all are going, oh yeah, they're great to go, But so we're calculating that, and we're trying to figure out, okay, can we get the house paid off in 10 years that we're living in now, and what's our whole lifestyle going to look like when I'm 70? She's 8 years younger than I am, and I'm going to show you something in here that just broke my heart, and I'll show it to you. But we had a whole strategy based on current Social Security laws. and it's coming up. I'm gonna talk about it, but it goes away in April. And I just like, oh man, I'm chasing it and I missed it, but I'll show it to you. We'll show it to you in a few minutes. But we talk about those things. It's funny, the older we get, the more we start focusing on things like that. And what I would encourage you to do is if you have kids or grandkids, get them to start focusing on this kind of stuff at the age of 25, 26 years old, because they can put $50 a month away and have a lifetime of income, where you and I right now, we have to put $500 or $600 or $800 a month away, to just come close to that same realization. And so it's so much easier for them to save such a small amount of money to reach their retirement goals. And so I just want to pass that on, get them thinking about it when they're young. Okay, so that's the retirement age, the break even there. Oh gosh, I just turned that off. Okay, here we go. The break even age at 70, waiting all the way to 70 versus retiring early, is age 79. Okay, so look, I think most of us have an expectation to be around at age 79, right? I do. My dad's 83. He's cranky, but he was cranky at 30.
But you're a bit cranky.
Yeah, I'm cranky. So, but
My father's age 91.
yeah, we talk about our dads a lot, don't we?
Mhm.
Yeah, you keep trying to get my dad and your dad hooked up. I'm like, you don't want my dad to meet your dad. He would poison your dad. So, but these are things that we focus on. We're like, okay, well, am I going to be? I plan to be here at 79. I plan to be here at 80. I want to be here at 90. I don't know if I want to live too much past that, but I mean, I do. But I just, what's my health going to be like? Okay, and then age 70 versus 66. Look at that. Now the breaking even is 81. Okay, any questions? No? All right, so now, benefits may be taxable, and it just depends on what's included in your taxation. And so you use a word, or the Social Security does, IRS uses a word called provisional income. And it becomes provisional when you're retired and you're drawing Social Security payments. And so what's included in provisional income? Half of your Social Security benefits are automatically included. A lot of people think income from municipal bonds is not, but it is. Now, what's the deal with muni bonds? Muni bonds are tax-free, right? You invest in a city or state municipality, and that interest that you earn is tax-free from income taxation. However, it does not become tax-free at the point of retirement for calculation of whether or not your Social Security benefits are taxable. They put it back in. You need to know that. Wages, business income, interest, capital gains, dividends, traditional IRA distributions, rental income, and other types of income. It can go on, but yeah, you get the idea. So that's your provisional income that has to be included to calculate whether or not your benefits are going to be taxable. So all we're trying to do at this point is figure out if you owe income tax on the benefit. That's what we're trying to do. Provisional income does not include tax-deferred buildup inside of IRAs, just like as it doesn't now, and any 401ks or annuities that you have. Income from Roth IRAs, that still stays neutral. Okay, that's good. That's important to know that. So if you're planning on Roth IRAs or if you're using them now, great. Here's a really big one that I can tell you 95% of everybody I talk to misses. And it's income, non-taxable income from life insurance policies. Okay, people think You know, I don't want to invest in life insurance. I just want term and all this jazz. But I can tell you, I meet with a lot of investors that want to look at a more sophisticated approach to not only getting to retirement, but living through retirement. And cash value life insurance actually becomes an important part of that. You can, and let me just give you an example. You can invest in an insurance plan that, has anybody ever had a 401k here? Okay, so with your 401k, you get this big portfolio of mutual funds. And with your, so you use like 50 or 60 different investment choices. You can now, and you have been able to do this for quite some time, buy an insurance plan that has a portfolio of mutual funds that looks just like your 401k. And so you're not limited to a 4% or 5% growth of the internal buildup of cash value on a life insurance policy. You can actually have market participation in stocks and bonds, derivatives, and other types of investments. Why is that important? Because the cash value buildup of that life insurance, when you start borrowing that money out of your plan, is income tax free when you borrow it. That's federal law already, but it's also revenue neutral on calculating whether or not you're going to have to pay tax on your Social Security benefits. That's a big deal when you start looking at stuff like that. We don't, my wife and I, we stay pretty diversified. We got land, we got 401ks, we got pension, we've got some savings accounts, and we were also doing an insurance plan. It's not a lot, it probably represents less than 20% of what we're trying to accomplish, but we're putting $400 a month combined. We each contribute $200 a month into an insurance plan, insuring her life because she's younger, so the internal values, and so that's part of what we're doing. And the reason that we did that was solely for the reason of planning our future, minimizing our taxes, maximizing the income that we have. So as you start looking at investments and you start looking at ways to take your income, we can work with you on the concept like that, but also other concepts, theme-based investments that, you know, some of them might be provisional, some of them might not be. But that's very important later in life, so we want to work with you on that. Benefits are only taxable if the provisional income exceeds these guidelines. Okay, so if you're single or head of the household and your income exceeds $25,000, then it's taxable. If it's under than $25,000, then it's not taxable. $25,000 to $34,000, 50% of your benefit is taxable. Anything over $34,000, up to 85% of your Social Security benefit is taxable. Wow. Okay. So if 85% of your, let's just say 50%, if 50% of your benefit is taxable, at what tax rate are you going to be in? Okay, let's say you're in a 15 to maybe, let's just say 20, you're in a 20% tax bracket. Now you're giving back 20% of half back to the IRS to pay tax on the benefits that you've been paying into that's rightfully yours. You're being, you don't realize this, but you're double taxed. You pay tax on it when it went in, and you're being taxed on it again when they give it to you. It's the craziest thing I ever saw. But that's what we do. If you're married filing jointly, $32,000 or less, then you don't pay tax. I'm going to show you a slide at the end that shows you where most retirees today, the majority of their income comes from Social Security, and that's frightening. I'm going to show it to you in a few minutes. $32,000 to $44,000, you pay 50%, and over $44,000, it's 85%. Any questions on that? Okay, I'm getting a lot of looks like, wow, I didn't realize these things. Yeah, these are, and that's good. I'm glad we're doing this. I'm glad we're going through this with you. All right, let's talk about ways to get the money. Okay, and spousal benefits can go either way. okay? In terms of who files on whose benefit and vice versa. Okay, so we're gonna talk about that, and I'll give you some examples of both. And this is where I wanna get into the strategy that my wife and I were going to execute on that we just thought was brilliant, and they came in and closed that loophole last year. And we're gonna get into it. If you're looking at retiring for Social Security, and then between now and April, I'm gonna show you how if this is an advantage, and if you wanna take advantage of it, you need to. We're gonna get into it. Okay, so let's look at spousal benefits. Married individuals can claim Social Security benefits based on either their personal income or the income of their spouse. Okay, so we're going to get into some different examples of how that works. If you elect based on your spouse's earnings record, then you're entitled to 50% of what they get. Now, you're not, the spouse doesn't get his or hers cut in half. Okay, you just get half of what they would or they are eligible for. That's really what I'm saying.
Is this a situation that's designed to provide benefits to a primarily non-working spouse who might have a very low benefit rate? Is that the intent of this?
It is. It certainly is. And it's also designed for age differences, like mine and my wife's. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so up to 50% of the spouse's Social Security benefit, and you cannot claim the spousal benefit until the spouse files for benefits. Okay, so if you're going to claim, if you're married, you're going to claim on your husband's benefit, you have to wait for him to file for benefits before you're eligible to make that claim. And if you're waiting for your wife and you're married, then it's obviously the same thing, right? Okay. Any questions on that? We're okay on that? Okay. So how is the spouse's benefit calculated? Well, let's take a look at this example. Gary's full retirement benefit is $2,000. His wife Amy has no earnings history. So Amy is entitled to one of two things. Either her own benefit, which is zero because she hasn't worked, right? Or she can get 50% of Gary's benefits. So Gary would get $2,000, she'd get $1,000, that's $3,000 of household income through Social Security. So Amy's benefit's $1,000. So if Amy wants to take her benefits early, she's going to take that same reduction that her husband would have to take. She doesn't get the full benefit when she retires, if she retires at 62. You see how it works? So if she's retiring at 66, if she's eligible for full retirement at 66 and she's 62, she's going to take a 35% reduction in benefit. Now let me tell you how important, well, I tell you what, I'm going to hold that thought for a minute because I want to talk about when the spouse that you're making the claim on retires. So I'll come back to this point in a minute. Okay, so if she waits, for every year that she waits, it improves until she gets to age 66, and then she gets a 50% reduction. Okay? So Amy, the lower earning spouse, files for benefits before her full retirement age, and she gets $1,000. So what if she takes a 35% reduction? It goes all the way down to $700. My mom never filed under Social Security. My mom and dad had their own business. My dad was the wage earner. My mom raised 6 kids, and when she wasn't raising 6 kids, she was in that business helping my dad, and they built that business together. But my dad, nobody was talking to them 30, 40 years ago about this stuff, right? She was eligible for half his Social Security. She got $400 a month, you know, when she took it early. It was like $450. That's what she was getting, you know, when she retired 20 years ago. And, you know, she gets those COL, those COLA increases, and then they divorced and then she remarried. And I'll talk more about that later and how that impacts you. Okay, so we're going to talk about divorces and remarries. Yes?
I missed one little thing on Gary's full retirement benefit of $2,000. What if Gary took early, is that gonna affect Amy?
God, you're like on your game. This is so amazing. Okay, because we're going to talk about that. That's
Okay.
next.
I
Yeah.
thought I missed it.
Yeah, and that's why I wanted to
Are you
hold
a
my thought.
Right, you can.
She's got that.
I think she's ready to retire.
Obviously not.
Yeah, or finding out not ready to retire.
Yeah. Okay. I could make crazy jokes, but I'm not going to. So, not that they're colorful; they're just funny. But I obviously got to keep moving. Okay, so $700 a month. So the surviving spouse can receive or step up to the benefit of the deceased spouse. So if your spouse dies, then you can step up. So the survivor benefit is reduced at full retirement up to 28.5%. But if the survivor is full retirement age, then the spouse steps up to 100% of their benefits. So let's suppose that let's suppose that Gary waits until he's full retirement. Amy takes her benefit, then Gary dies. She will be eligible. I'm going to show you this. She's eligible for his benefit. She's eligible for 100% of it at that point. Yeah. Okay, we're not. Anybody work for the government? Okay. If you're on a government pension, two-thirds of what you receive in government pension reduces your Social Security benefit. You just need to know that if you do. Okay, let's talk about if you divorce. So, if you divorce and you're married at least 10 years and you don't remarry, then you can file on your ex-husband's Social Security or ex-wife, her Social Security. And then on survivor benefits, it works the same way. If you're married for at least 10 years, or for the last, if your marriage lasted 10 years, and you're at least 60 years old, and you didn't remarry until you were over the age of 60, then you can file on your ex-husband. I like that. That's a great benefit. That protects the spouse that had the lower wage.
Even if the spouse dies at, say, 55,
Mm-hmm.
the widow is not eligible to start claiming the spousal benefits or survivor benefits, right?
She has to be 60.
Until she's 60.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter about his age when he dies.
Right. Has to be 60. Yeah. There are some, if they have children, there are some Social Security benefits that are paid right away.
Mm-hmm.
And if she's 60 and they still have small children, which sometimes that happens, right? She would get that Social Security benefit plus the survivor benefit for herself. Yeah. Okay. So let's take a look at some strategies here. Okay, so Jen and Matt are married and they're both 62. Matt's full monthly Social Security benefit at age 66 is $2,000. Jen stayed at home, raised the family, has no earned Social Security benefit of her own. We're going to assume Matt dies at 85 and Jen dies at 92. Okay? Option 1 is to file early at age 62. So Matt files early and takes a reduced benefit down to $1,500. Jen files, lives 30 years, and she takes that reduction to $700, right? Just like in the other example that we saw, because they're the same numbers. The survivor benefit now is when Matt dies becomes $1,650. Why is it not 100% of his benefit? Because if he takes a reduced benefit at $1,500, that means it was $2,000, right? So if he died, why doesn't she step into his $2,000? Because he retired early, so she gets the reduced portion of that survivor benefit. So she gets 82.5%. That's what happens. She has to continue on that same path of survivor benefit that he started at. You follow what I'm saying on that? Yeah, okay. Option 2, retire at full retirement age. Matt gets his $2,000 a month, $24,000 a year, and Jen is going to get 50% of that, so she gets $1,000 a month. So in that example, they're back up to the $3,000 per month of household benefit. Option 3, Matt files at 66, lives 19 years, but suspends his benefit until the age of 70. So at age 70, he now gets $2,640. Jen files at 66, gets $1,000, but when Matt dies, she steps up from $1,000 to $2,640. Why? Because he suspended his benefit. She gets 100% of his benefit that he's eligible for, that he's getting or will get. You follow that? Is that a good deal? You think that's a good deal? Is that a good deal for the American public? I'm here to tell you no, it's not. What happened here? We had a death. What happened? The family just got a pay cut. And we don't plan for that, do we? They're probably living on $2,650 or $3,650 or $3,640, whatever it is. And they need that money. They need that money. Look, at 75 and 76, 75, 80 years old, we're consuming less at that point in our lives. But they still have fixed expenses, and we will too. Okay? So they've got $2,600. I run into this all the time. They're living on both incomes, and they need both incomes to survive, to run their household. And now we just had a loss of life, and we just took a pay cut. My mother just did this. I just went through this with my mother. She remarried. Her husband died in March. She was getting whatever she was getting. I think it was about $500 or $600 a month at that point, after all the increases. He was getting $1,200 a month. Their combined was $1,800, plus he had a little pension. I'm guaranteeing you, they're living on 10 acres of land. They're fighting every week and every month to maintain that property that they're living.